So today we're going to be making our dragon eyes. So what I am going to have you have in front of you is one of these Model Magics. You have one of your dragon eyes, a magnet that I will be giving you later. It's got two sides to it. So this is the magnet, side that will go right onto something magnetic. And then this is the sticky part, which you'll peel this off later to stick to the back of your dry dragon eye. Then you can use a pencil or a stick or whatever you have to create some texture on your dragon eye. And then I will be walking around in class with some of these different types of air dry clay. It's Ifergoo, kind of a air dry clay. It's a little bit stickier and fun to play with, similar to Model Magic, but this one, it just is a little bit stickier. It has a different texture and feel to it too, as you can see. So we're not going to use a lot of these creating our dragon eye, but we'll be able to mix and match different colors, and I have several different colors. What I ended up doing was thinking of having a light, a medium, and a dark color for my eye here. So I went thinking, ooh, here's a good dark color, and then here is kind of like a bright little highlight, and then these other ones more of a medium here. And I might add in a hint of this. I'm not quite sure what I feel yet. So I'll be coming up with 3 colors, but I might switch out in my head that I might like this extra pop here, but I thought the green would be a little something different. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is open up your package of Model Magic. To open it up, so once you get it out, you have your awesome Model Magic. You can see it's a little squishy. It doesn't feel as wet as clay. This is a air dry type of clay. So remember, when we play with regular clay in the classroom, the more you play with it, the drier it gets, because our hands are going to take out, some of the moisture in here, as well as this too. It's not like regular clay where it likes the water and it takes it. So I want you to not play with it as much. So what you're going to do is rip it in half. So you have one section and another section. They don't have to be equal, but if you want them to feel a little bit more equal, try your best to try to equal it out. The next thing I want you to do is, taking that one that you have, I want you to flatten it. So press it between your palms of your hands, kind of flatten it out, squish it out a little bit here and there. Now, you don't want it to be too thin where it's so floppy and see-through, but think of the shape that you want your dragon eye to be. And to me, this is kind of a cool shape. So remember, when we did our drawing of our dragon eyes, we did it the size of our hand. We made sure we had an arch, we kind of designed it the way we wanted it to be. So if you want it to be a little more pointy or angled in some way, you can mess with it and, play with it that little bit. Then I want you to take the eye that you have, okay? Don't worry about this white little backing. It just is part of that design. So if you take that backing off, you'll take your picture away. So what I want you to do is press your eye into it. And what you'll notice is you don't want to go through the back, because if you do that, then you break through and you got to start over again. And that's fine, but you want to play with it that way. Okay. Now, the second thing that you have, so I'm going to move this over to the side. You have your other piece. I want you to break that again into 2 halves. Put one down. And what you're going to do is make coils. So to make a coil in clay is you're going to rub it between the palms of your hands, and I kind of turn it this way, and it's hard to see in this video, but you want it facing down, and it's going to make it nice and skinny and skinnier. So this is going to be our eye itself. So the lid, you want to form it the way that you want to. And you can curl that in however you're feeling like as well. And you push it down, and it's going to stay rather well. So I know I'm not going to need a lot for this one. I can make this thinner. And I'm going to press this on here too. If you don't like where you placed it, you might need to peel it a little bit, but it is Model Magic. All right, so now that you have that part done, think about, you know, the other parts of the texture that you're going to do. You could add some fun horns, you know, some eyelashes if you're thinking that, and you can stick those on. Try your best not to push hard on your desk so that this becomes hard to peel off. The more you press it down and really squish it, the harder it's going to get to come off. So I'm just going to make some eyelashes and some horns, you know, not making things too skinny. The skinnier they are, the more they break, but this does stick really well. Okay, so once you get this part, think of how else maybe you want to add some texture. Do you want to pinch, you know, some areas to get some texture on your dragon eye? You see how just pinching and pulling creates texture? Even my nail marks in here created some texture. You can do it on the top and the bottom. It's up to you. Okay, so here's that start. Using your tool, you can go in and add different marks, indentations. You can draw different things. But before we get into all the tiny details, we have built from the bottom up. So something that sculpturists do is they work their way up to the part. So they start kind of flat, right? And then they work their way to that 3D part, constantly building the main shape, and then you work your way to all those details. So here I have my building of, as you can see, my dragon eye, and I've got the base. I added the eyelids. I started adding some of the other main features and things that I have. Now I'm going to add in some of these fun colors. So before I grab all of them, and I don't want these open for too long, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to come around and have these little bits. So using them, you can form them in any little shape and way that you would like. Obviously, you're not going to put huge, thick things down, but I can lay this on top of areas to make the color that I'm looking for and want. So take your time. Just like regular clay, you can smooth things out. You can add in so many different other little pieces and layers. You can make little balls and have a little bit of three-dimensional where you then squish it. There's so many different little ways. So take your time with playing with this, and I can't wait to see how you're developing yours. One thing I wanted to show you is when I was in college, this was something that I created and made of my sculpture. The project was we had to come up with a mask that resembled who we were and kind of our transformational selves. And what we ended up doing is we had to build this out of clay first to really play with the design. So first we drew it, then we used clay and we built it up. And you know, when you add and make a nose, you put the nose on top, make it nice and big and grow. What was interesting to me, similar to somebody who carves ice sculptures and various different things that people carve out of wood, for instance, and that's why I'm showing you this example, is I was given a log and I had to figure out a way to get my vision into that log. And so for me, I had to figure out where was the furthest point out on my sculpture. And for mine, it was obviously the nose. The other part is I didn't know what was going to be underneath. Was it going to have any rotting wood? Was it going to have different marks? For instance, here a crack showed up as I was going through that was deep in there. All these holes and things were in there. Some of these knots were inside this tree trunk, log that I had. So when I chiseled it, I had to chisel my way and start going downwards, going, okay, this is the highest part of my nose. And then I went down here, and then I started going deeper. And I always had to follow the grain of this. Mine was the tiger I really liked it. Just in the tiger, the wood that I chose, and I was a swimmer at the time, so I wanted to add in waves. So there's a lot of meaning when I did this, and you can see as I even had to carve out the back of it and everything, this is not the most smoothest area because I didn't spend my time, sanding it down as much. I used my chipping away. I spent hours on that and really smoothing out and sanding each of these spots. So this was my mask that I got to share with my group and make. Probably needs a little touch up of some oil to get the richness back in it. But that's what I mean when you're talking about sculpturous and what you're going to be doing with your dragon eye today. Don't be afraid to move and turn your dragon eye. Lift it up if you need to a little bit to take a look at some of the different areas. Use your pencil or the stick tool or different objects that you have that create texture to help you get into some of those more intricate, tiny spaces. So build layers on top of layers. You can overlap a lot of things, move your dragon eye around. We're not putting the clay colors on the back, so just have those on the top and the sides, but just keep playing with it. Now, I didn't have or spend as much time developing and building and building and building on this because I want to save all these awesome colors for you, but you can take, make little ropes of the air dry clay and you can twist them together. So there's so many cool things. Think about a baker and how they they wrap and twist pretzels. You could do the same thing on here. You can play with whatever you want to be able to add those details and textures and so forth in a different way. Played with the different sides. I can obviously still work on more. I could add in more details. but I want to make sure I save all of the fun clay and colors and everything for all of you. So just know that you can go in, you can add in all these things that you would want, twists, etc., and everything. And once it's dry, then you'll put your magnet on the very back and you'll have a magnetic dragon eye.